Joe, Kyle, hey, congratulations on your new film, Dead Male.
Oh, thank you so much. Yeah.
More of a congratulations being showcased at South by Southwest. How do you guys feel about that?
Still surreal. I think once we get there, we'll know how it feels more. But yeah, right now it's just, can't wait and crazy that we got in somehow.
Well, you know what? I watched the film. It was pretty thrilling, and I had no idea it was based on a true story. So tell us how you folks found out about this story.
That was maybe a little bit of a silly charade. I think when we had been working on this first cut for a little bit, and I was working late and I was about to send it to Joe and our producer Zach, and I was like, let me do something like stupid just to hopefully make them laugh. So I made that little fake on the end credits, the where are they now just was something made up in the at 2 a.m. one night. So, it's all a lie.
And then I watched the cut and I was like, this is brilliant. I know it was a joke. We have to keep this in.
Well, you know what? You guys fooled me. Then tell us how this original story actually came about then.
I mean, I think Joe was the original origin of this idea. We were working on our first script, and he came in. He's like, "Hey, I read this thing about something called the Dead Letter Office at the U.S. Postal Office, and they investigate undeliverable mail and valuable mail, and it just sounds like something that cool, and we maybe can incorporate in our next film." Like, oh my God, that's amazing. That is really cool. So we were both thinking about it a little bit. And then I think I was going through some relationship strife or something, and had what became the first scene of not great idea of a bound woman crawling out of a house, army crawling with a bloody help letter, and delivering it to the postal box. And I was telling Joe about this first scene idea, and he's like, I really like it, but instead of this woman based off your Aunt Cindy, can it be Josh Brolin? And I was like, yeah, sure. So the character became Josh, and we were big fans of analog synthesizers and wanted to make him an analog synthesizer engineer, and just went on from there.
So, so the thing about dead mail, I mean, how much do you guys actually investigate that part of an occupation for the postal service? Because to, it to me when I was watching it, I couldn't believe that there was even an occupation like this. I figured they just basically say sit around and say if we could figure it out, if we could, if not, then we throw it away.
Well, so we definitely sensationalized that whole bit. We were really we thought it was really intriguing, the idea of this empty room and the post office full of all these heaps of mysterious mail. And then that kind of bred the character Jasper. And we just wanted to kind of create this savant investigator who's just a lover of his craft. And his craft happens to be finding homes for this lost mail. And if it has valuables in it, he's allowed to investigate it. So yeah, we had a really fun time kind of building that mostly fictitious character. We didn't do any interviews or have any real knowledge on what they really do with that mail. So we just thought it would be cool to run with.
We were told specifically by the United States Postal Service, or there was a post office in Inglewood, California here that we really liked and had a great feel, and we were trying to see if we could rent that out, and they wanted to read the script. And after reading the script, they were like, our postal workers would never conduct themselves this way. This is completely fabricated. And so to answer your question, yeah, not a ton of research, but we were more just kind of hoping to build an interesting world that had some plausibility.
Well, most excellent. I mean, one of the things that while I was watching the film, not knowing that towards the end of what you guys actually created, I was actually watching was going, I wonder why this is a period piece. Was it because there was no such thing as security cameras back then?
Yeah, we kind of always feel like I don't think we've written a film together that's taken place during the cell phone era, and that just seems like it simplifies things too much, and we couldn't really see a world where with the internet and computers where this would be nearly as interesting. So just kind of went with that time period.
So tell us about your recreation of this time period. I mean, you guys actually used, decoration and accessories of that time period, which I probably gather it's not, how can you say, it's pretty hard to get.
Well, we originally thought we were going to try to film in the authentic Midwest, and that actually proved to be more challenging. So, I mean, Kyle and our production designer, Peyton Jane, really took charge of this. Went and found some of the most gritty, authentic interiors in Los Angeles, just incredible period props, and we just kind of recreated room by room these sets in the era.
And basically your style of cinematography, could you guys tell us about your how you wanted to film this and the color schemes to create more of this period?
I think, to what Joe was talking about, like we just really wanted to kind of create a world and sets that felt somewhat unique and more so, I guess, similar to kind of the 1980s Midwest bland upbringings that we grew up in. So that almost in terms of cinematography, I think we were just focused on like, hey, let's make some interesting looking sets. We're really into the characters and the world building with the characters, and let's just kind of get out of the way. Camera wise, we didn't want to do anything too complicated. We barely used any lights that weren't practical lights. So yeah, we kind of just wanted to keep it simple and mobile and just capture this world. In terms of color schemes, we did have some things like green kind of became a color for Trent, and we kind of, I don't even really know why, but theorized that maybe he had just some mild affinity for the color green. So anything from his TV lunch trays to his glasses were green. His cup glasses were green tinted, so that kind of became his color. I guess Josh, conversely, red was the color of his logo for his burgeoning synthesizer company. But otherwise, I mean, we're kind of also at the mercy of what locations we could find. So I think we just lucked out with, some colors that kind of fit an aesthetic we were going for.
Well, I'm glad you didn't completely go with like carpeted walls or something like that. So that that would have been something different. Now, Kyle, you mentioned that you guys were kind of in love with synthesizers. Is that like a side hobby of your guys that you guys wanted to put into the film, and how did you basically wanted to create, recreate building these synthesizers? And do you guys even know anything about synthesizers in real life?
Yeah, I mean, we both had a kind of a background toying with analog synthesizers. Love them. We've owned several, and so we just love the idea of this engineer who's really trying to stay authentic to the analog world in an increasingly digital, landscape where the digital kind of keyboard revolution, happened. I think it's pretty period specific. So yeah, that was kind of the origin of Josh. And then as far as the synths themselves, I mean, Kyle actually built the prototype. Um, and I know there was some research done, Kyle, that I'll let you speak to with a local synth shop in LA about keeping things authentic, like ECs and some of the terminologies that we used.
Yeah, I think before, we definitely had some experience ripping open synthesizers that, we would play, and we enjoy analog synthesizer music. Never certainly acquired any kind of expertise at it. So when we were writing the script, we had very, very vague knowledge of it, but just tried to make sure we weren't writing anything that was false. But then when it got to the point of actually like going into pre-production, we're like, oh God, we actually need to know a little bit of like how what Josh would be soldering and what adjustments he would be making. So we went to Rosen Sound is a vintage synth shop here in Los Angeles. We went there and they were super helpful, giving us some background and recommended some books that we read. And then they also at some point it was like, oh God, we don't have a prototype synthesizer. So just bought a bunch of old synthesizers that didn't work and ripped them apart and kind of recreated what you see in the film.
Can you guys talk about rounding out your cast for this film?
We had known Sterling, who plays Josh, for several many years. This is probably the third or fourth or fifth film we had worked on with him. So he's a friend and a longtime collaborator. So at some point, while working, I think when we circled back to writing Dead Male, had only written a little bit of it. We're like, oh my God, we got to have Sterling play Josh. And Sterling is not only an amazing actor, but he's a prolific musician, could play several instruments, and is just such a good tactile both actor and human. So we knew that he'd be amazing at just the kind of handsiness that Josh needs to have with his craft. So that's, and then John, who plays Trent, he was introduced to us by Susan Priver, who plays Bess in the film, is an amazing actor and was also a producer on the film. So that's how John came to be. Joe,
And then Nikki, who plays Anne, we actually cast her the day before filming, and she came on set after about 24 hours of preparation. We'd had something fell through with the previously casted person, and she just came on set within 24 hours and embraced the role of Anne. And then Nick Heyman, who plays Renee, who's the techie Norwegian that corroborates with Jasper. He was also in our first film, just an incredible actor. So we were beyond excited to give him the role. And then Tomas, who played Jasper, he auditioned and he was just an original. And we had, I think, a lot of good candidates, but he just stood out as someone like, this is the riskier move in that he's going to be an artist about this. And he proved to just do an incredible job, obviously.
So what's up next with you folks after this film?
We got a script tentatively titled Gunga Creek. It's about an animal sanctuary in mid-Missouri in the 1990s. A couple's kind of on the run and they find refuge, doing manual labor at this animal sanctuary. But then murder comes to this little community and they're kind of forced to reckon with their past.
I was well done on the spot, Kyle. Good job.
Oof, I was nervous.
Early in development on that one.
Well, let me wrap it up with one last thing. I'm a little curious on you guys had a lot of Polaroids with with a lot of men that was decorated on the wall. How did you guys get the Polaroids of so many people on the wall for that one?
There are a few things, that we had written in the script that, when it came to filming it, we're like, oh God, like we had the same question you had, like, how do we do this? So I think we did have a Polaroid camera. So the 10 males that were on set that day all got a picture of them, but then a lot of it was just recreating it in Photoshop. So definitely don't pause and look too closely at those Polaroids because there's some, so Photoshop work on a lot of them.
Well, it's excellent. God admired the movie magic, and God admired the idea of how you guys try to make this period so authentic and yet so fictionalized at the same time that could fool us with this indie film. So, Joe, Kyle, thank you very much for carrying this conversation with us. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Gig. It was great talking to you.
Yeah, so nice chatting with you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye now.